Hello, hello, hello. JVix here, another episode of Meet the Experts. I think this is like 75, 76. I'm not sure the number of this episode, but as always, I'm very excited to get to do another one. What is Meet the Experts? Where are you here? What are you doing watching me right now? Meet the Experts was born during the pandemic. It was born just before the pandemic, before the world shut down in 2020, because business owners always talk to me about they know they need more video content. If you're a business owner, thought leader, expert in your field, you may be feeling the same thing. Like, I know video is important, I'm just not going to do it myself, or it's hard, or I don't know what to do, right? I don't have the right camera. I don't know how to talk. So many reasons. And what we realized was that we have a great platform where we can basically come to you virtually, let you talk about yourself, your products, your services, what makes you special, what makes you unique, on a video format, record the whole thing, and then give you the video. So it costs you nothing to be a guest on Meet the Experts. And if you stick around to the end of today's fantastic episode, I promise that I will tell you exactly what you need to do to be a guest on Meet the Experts coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Journey Builder, which is our CRM all-in-one marketing solution. You can learn more at getjourneybuilder.com. And now, today we have Afam Elue with me, and I worked hard on the name. And Afam is a mergers and acquisitions consultant. He helps entrepreneurs create wealth by buying profitable businesses, and we're going to talk all about that, which is kind of part of this series where we've been talking a lot about business brokering and mergers and acquisitions and franchising and different systems kind of at a higher level. So I'm excited to talk to Afam. Let's get him up here. Afam, hey, my friend, how are you?
Hey Jay, good to meet you.
Awesome. Happy to have you today.
Yeah.
Now, I forget, where in the world are you?
I'm actually here in beautiful Vancouver, Canada.
That's right,
On
Vancouver.
the,
I had
on the
forgotten
west
about
coast.
that. Well,
Absolutely.
all right, we'll just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit more, about who you are and kind of what you do.
So my background is West African, and I started my career in banking. Worked with corporate banking, and moved to the States to work on an MBA. I got that in corporate finance from the University of Dallas. Worked in and around finance for a couple of years. Wealth management, uh, debt management, things like that. And then got into technology project management. And now I'm consolidating all those skills into this space where we're doing mergers and acquisitions, helping entrepreneurs to create wealth by buying businesses.
That's awesome. So let's say somebody like a business owner maybe wants to sell his business or her business, or maybe somebody wants to buy a business. Um, what does your products or services look like? Like, how does somebody work with you? Is it a like and how is it a retainer basis, or how does that all work? What are your products and services?
Very good. So they're typical consulting services. I take a retainer, a very small, walking around fee up front, but that helps me source the deals. So there are basic things that entrepreneurs need to make a deal, which is deal flow, okay,
Mm.
which is the pipeline of motivated sellers that want to, sell their business. Funding sources. So even as an investor, the idea is not to use your own capital, right?
Mm.
So we need to have sources of capital available that you can access to, leverage to acquire these businesses, right? So we do all of that legwork because we have, vendors in the deal flow space, in the funding sources space, and ultimately you need someone to run the company because we're not trying to buy you a job, essentially,
Mm.
right? You're trying to buy you an asset as a business. So the idea is once you acquire this asset, we want to staff it with the right experts that have the vision to grow it and scale it and create, a higher valuation than what you acquired it for, so that on an exit, you're making a sizable profit. So yeah, that's what we do.
So that's pretty cool. And to piggyback on that, so if I'll take myself for example. So let's say, and I'm not in the I'm not trying to sell anytime soon. I'm still in kind of this kind of growth period. Um,
Yes.
but you would start with, if I said, I want to exit in 2 years, right, or
Yes.
1 year, I would
Yes.
come to you and I would say, hey, can you start working with me to help me prepare? And you would kind of get your hands dirty and start working with us to kind of like making sure that team members are in the right place, that the assets and processes, document, all that stuff. You would help build that out.
Absolutely. So what we find is, there are three types of prospects, right? You have those who want to exit now, okay, as in today, like let's go. We're very motivated, want to retire. We have a shiny object that things they have to do today. And then there are those, like you said, who are ready in 3 to 7 years, okay. Um, and then there are those who just don't care. They never thought about it, and we don't talk to those people, right? So we're either looking for the low hanging fruit, those who want to action it today to exit, or folks like you just mentioned, like yourself, who want to expand in the meantime, who want to make sure they're getting the highest valuation upon an exit, right? So yes, the time to engage someone like myself is right away,
Mm.
because we want to look at your company structure, okay, to ensure it has all the right um, structure in place, okay? The right team, the right vendors, the right moat, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
okay? The protective elements around the business that make it um, impenetrable, right? That make it sustainable. So those things need to be in place, a sales system, distribution channels, all of those kinds of things. So we will work with you not only to expand, but to prepare for an exit.
Oh, see, that's awesome. Now that when, sometimes, and the reason I brought that up is that I know I have a lot of people who might watch this, or you may have, as you promote this interview down the road, and you'll have somebody that'll watch it. I think one of the things that, um, sometimes if you hear a term like mergers and acquisitions, right? Or even if you hear M&A, you're like, what is that? But if you hear mergers and acquisitions, it sounds intimidating. Like, ooh, that sounds very corporate, right? But when you put it like you just did, where you can kind of come in and help people prepare their business to sell, whether that's tomorrow or 7 years from now, like that that palatable. Like that sounds exciting, right? So that's actually pretty awesome. So,
Yes.
um,
Can you play that back? I think I was frozen for the entire thing.
oh,
When
you're
you
you're okay. You're okay. It didn't freeze locally.
Okay,
So, yep.
all right.
Um, so the next thing I want to talk to you is that now, how long have you been doing kind of the M&A stuff?
So just like you, I started during COVID.
Okay.
Yes. So I had just launched my tech consulting company because I have a background in technology project management. And then, all of the things with COVID happened, right? There was the issue in the US with, the uprising around, justice and things like that. And,
Hmm.
I realized a couple of things. There are three pillars in society, right? So one is security, the next is culture, and the third is economics. Okay.
Okay.
And people were just like really driving around the security issues, right? So I just left that be. Okay, that's ongoing. But I think down the line, we're going to be talking about economics, right? And I wanted to understand how to economically empower a group of people, right? Especially the entrepreneurial minded, right? Culturally, I consider myself a cultural integrator. I've been exposed around a lot of ethnicities. One of my previous jobs, they called me um, the ethnic whisperer.
I like
Okay?
that.
Because I used to have the emotional language of every, community that I engage with. So to answer your question, I've been doing this for 3 years, and it's been, like drinking from a fire hose, and it's been great.
That's awesome. So
Yes.
the reason I kind of wanted to kind of get at that, was business owners, I don't think we realize like the pats on the back that we should sometimes give ourselves for making it through another year in business, right?
Hmm.
Like it's hard, right? So you don't get to 6 months in business without doing something right. You don't get to 1 year in business without doing more things right, and you don't get to 3 years or more if you're not doing a lot of things right. How can you share like a win that maybe you've gotten for someone, or maybe just a testimonial that someone's given you about how you help them, that kind of keeps you going every day?
Yes. So I'll give you one that just happened recently. Okay, this is kind of an unusual one. So I had this gentleman because I
We did freeze up now.
I do. So this and we got into some kind of
Cool. So one of the things we talk about is it takes you have to do something right or something cool, or you have to make people happy to stay in business for 3 years.
Mhm.
So, do you have a special like customer win or a testimonial that someone has told you about that's happened that you want to share with us?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you about one that is ongoing right now. Okay, it's very recent, but it's an unusual situation. So I think it warrants telling here. So this guy, his name is Doug. I think he wouldn't mind me using his name. Reached out to him on LinkedIn. We connected. We got into some kind of coaching relationship. He was out of work, but looking for a job and things like that. So he didn't quite fit into my, typical um, avatar, so to speak. But I took a liking to him, and I was, talking to him for 3 weeks, just, giving him a bit of my time. And one day he just reached back out to me and said, here's a business that you may be interested in, because you're into acquisitions. And I looked at the business, I reached out to the owner, there was no response. But then when we talked in our next session, I found out that he had an affinity with this business. Okay. It was sporting goods store where he had shopped as a kid, and he had some kind of sentimental attachment to it. So I said, why don't you buy it? And he goes, I just told you I don't have a job. I can hardly pay you and this kind of thing. And I said, part of what I do, okay, is helping people to, use leverage, okay, to buy businesses with little to no money out of pocket, okay. Let's see if we can find this guy to be a motivated seller, okay. And if so, there could be a deal we could work out that will allow us the wiggle room to gain access or control of the business with little or no, financial requirement from your part. He didn't quite believe it. Okay. So he had just bought my book. Okay. So he was getting the concepts, but, it was too good to be true. So I started like coaching him through. I do have steps, like 10 steps that you have to go through, and, walk them through. Okay. First step is discovery, go meet the owner, engage him with this forum. Let's see, where he's at. And, um, you know, just 3 steps in. Okay. We actually have a letter of intent in place. Okay. This guy's about to acquire a 30-year-old business, okay, because the owner is getting into that retirement phase. He wants to do other things. He has health issues, so he's quite motivated to see it grow, the legacy kept within the community, and with someone who is so sentimentally attached, who is passionate about growing the thing. And we're making all kinds of deals. Okay, so the testimonial he gave me is that he went from minus $19 in his bank account. Okay, he could barely
What?
buy the book, to almost owning a $500,000 company at this point. And the
Wow.
idea is to grow it 10x, in the next couple of years, so that everybody wins.
So let me ask you a question about that. So I mean, this guy spent his last couple dollars on the book, right?
Yes,
And now he's in the process to buy this $500,000
yes,
company. But
yes,
so when you say leverage, I
yes,
mean, did he? And obviously, I don't want to go into the deal specifics because that wouldn't be
yes,
right. But when
yeah.
you talk about leverage for somebody, does it mean like coming in and working there for equity? Does it mean loans? How do you like? How does that? How do you finance if you have no money?
Well, we have uh, more than 128 different ways to structure a deal. Okay.
Whoa.
Yes. So that there's so many of these methodologies, that I picked up. I didn't invent them, right?
Right.
I studied under, very great mentors, and they have all these tricks and tools, and I use maybe 3 to 5 of them, right? So they're just like the easy ones, right? So it has to do with, you could use loans, you could defer the down payment, you could have the seller carry the notes, you could have, you know there are all kinds of structures that could go in place to where you are actually giving the owner a fair valuation, without breaking the bank up front, and giving yourself time and again, the leverage to have access and control to where everybody wins.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to talk to you more after this. But one of the things that I did want to point out, and you just mentioned it in that, is he had bought your book. We've talked about the book a couple times. So you have a book out, From Legacy to Dynasty,
Yes.
and is that basically like an overview of kind of who you help and what you do, and how somebody could do that?
Yes. So the full title is a long one: From Legacy to Dynasty: How to Create Generational Wealth, the Business Acquisition Blueprint.
Ah, I love that. I love a blueprint. I love a good blueprint. Oh, that's
Yes.
great. Great. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to reading that. I
Yes.
definitely want to get that. Well, cool. So all right. We you touched on this briefly in the beginning. I always call this question the earned it, learned it, improved your authority. This is where you can talk about any titles or certifications. But what I always want to know, and I always find this interesting, when I
Yes.
ask entrepreneurs this question, I always get very similar responses, and I'll wait till you tell me before I tell you. But
Okay.
when I say, how have you gotten to this point from an educational standpoint, or what does it take to be in business, brokering mergers and acquisitions and development? Tell me a little bit about that background and how you got to this point.
Yeah. So I think I gave my professional history up earlier.
Yep.
So I do have a finance and technology background, and I'm putting that together in this space. Okay, that's why the book really talks about it from a wealth creation perspective. Okay, so I learned M&A under the tutelage of the great Roland Frazier. I don't mind promoting him here,
Sure.
of the epic
Yep.
dynasty, and he's just a genius, right? So I've been in and around that community for 3 years, and so that's where my certification comes from. That's where my training comes from. But my point of view comes from my background. All right, so I have a wealth management background. So the idea for me is there was a gap when I was in wealth management. Everyone was looking for the same high net worth clients. Okay, the $1 million accounts, just so we could make our commissions and things like that. So it was all about managing wealth,
Mm.
but there was not a lot about creating the wealth. Okay, so I found that there was a gap. Okay, in that space. How do we create the wealth so that on the back end we can preserve it, right? So that's what I'm doing. Is an end-to-end solution where I saw a need. So I'm going to look for entrepreneurs, whether they're struggling or they're just getting into the space, what we call a entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is you want to be, but you're not yet. And then we could just help you leapfrog all of those challenges that come with a startup, right? And get into the space of owning a business and hold your hand through it all with the support that we get from our advisors, from our board of directors, and things like that, um, to make sure that you're successful. So, in this era where there is a huge need, okay, the baby boomers are retiring, they might not have succession plans in place, and the kids, may not want to take over the family business. The employees may not be, competent or even interested in taking over. Now you have, a gap, and the options are close it or keep working longer than you have to, and all of these kinds of things. So, we have this fresh, energetic investors,
Right.
which I describe as anyone with, $10,000 in investable cash, okay, or assets. Um, But in the case of Doug, it was less than that. So
Right, right, right.
we could actually do miracles. So yeah, so we put these parties together, and we make something happen.
I think what I was alluding to there, um, you come from kind of the theoretical book knowledge degree, right? And then what's got and that gave you a good foundation, but really it's been 3 years in the epic community, being in the
Yeah,
trenches, talking with others under mentorship. And what I
yeah,
find is so many entrepreneurs give most of the credit of their success, it seems, from doing 75 of these. I hear this over and over again. It wasn't so much book knowledge, so that was good for them to kind of understand, but living it, being in the trenches, being around the people that help you get to where you want to go, the mentorship, the certifications or the courses there, um, after college, in a lot of cases, just completely bypassing college. It finds that I find it very, very cool to see that, like I always say, like the school of hard knocks beats any university out there.
hmm
And in like I would say 9 out of 10 times, I would think it'd be 10 out of 10, but I gotta say that there's going to be that one instance, that one outlier, right?
absolutely.
So very, very cool.
I agree.
All right, I only got two more questions for you, Afam. This has been great. I love listening to you talk. I think you articulate what you do in such a way that is more simple than anybody else has ever kind of described this business to me. Um, but I'm gonna change gears a little bit. Let's I mean, it could be professionally as well, but if we took that M&A hat off and I just said, "Hey, Afam, tell me something you're thankful for, professionally or personally," what would that be?
Oh wow. Um, I talk about a framework I call pies. Okay, it has to do with four dimensions of human existence, right? And that's what I, you know, walk around with in my world. So it's physical, it's intellectual, it's emotional, it's spiritual. Okay, all of the above. So I have to start with what I'm most thankful for is my relationship with God. Okay. So I've been through some, very challenging times, and as an entrepreneur, you have ebbs and flows, and valleys, and and hills, and without something to believe in beyond yourself, you could actually lose hope in this journey.
Mm.
So I've really had a very steady faith in a higher power than myself. And I'm very thankful for that relationship. It has informed everything beneath that. Okay, my physicality, my intellectuality, and my emotionality. So all of my life is wrapped in conviction.
I love that. That is I mean, I've heard some good answers to that question. That one got deep there, and I love it. But I too, I mean, as a believer, I mean, God it plays a big part in everything that kind of shapes and surrounds me, and growing closer in that relationship and developing that relationship, has proven to be very fruitful in several areas of my life, like you said. So thank you for that answer. I've only got one more question for you. And I told you these things go fast. Before you
Yeah,
know it, it's over, right?
right.
But if somebody if somebody was watching this, let's go ahead and answer like the number. What's that number one question that you get all the time? And if it's two questions, but go. Let's go ahead. Let's take a second and on video, let's answer one of your frequently asked questions.
Um, it'll have to be the one about financing the deal.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be have to be because when you hear M&A, and you were alluding to this earlier, you are thinking big bucks. The company is valued at $1 million, so I have to have $1 million. Okay, so I need to work 10 more years, save up, and then come talk to you. So those are the frequently asked questions, and I say, come talk to me now. Okay, once you think about it, once you think there is a number you're looking for for an exit, or for retirement, or for acquiring an asset, come talk to me now. We can make things happen. We have very flexible methods around structuring a deal, and we have very reliable partners that can help things go smoothly in the financial realm. So um, pretty confident.
A great answer. That is a good answer. And I kind of to piggyback on that, I said that was the last question, but it made me think of another question. When you say great partners, do you ever find, and this just because I'm somewhat familiar with the Epic network, even though I'm not in it, I'm in the Roland
Orbit.
ecosystem like you are,
Yeah.
right? Like some
Yeah.
Ryan Dice and Richard Linder and Roland are kind of
Yeah.
as a DM partner, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you did say you have some great partners. Um, have you had any businesses come to you that you're talking to that you go back to kind of that group of partners and say, hey, this is something that, somebody's interested in selling this business or buying this business, and utilize them for help where you might not be able to?
Absolutely. So we leverage our community all the time.
Yeah.
So deals that don't fit into my criteria and don't fit into the criteria of my clients,
Uh,
can just be presented to the community. You know, hey, there's a good deal. I like it, but it's not my wheelhouse. Who can step in here, and you find people that can take the lead on the deal. You could still be part of the deal as a silent partner. Um, so that's one arena.
okay.
But also we have funding partners. Okay, so
Mm,
folks who have either a fund or they have access to capital in terms of loans and things like that. Um, so those are funding partners because we're looking for deal flow and we're looking for funding partners. We also have
sure.
talent acquisition partners who would help us staff in a pinch. Although we don't rely on them heavily because most of the time the deal maker already has that expertise. But
Mhm.
we also have those partners as well.
That's awesome. What a great answer. Listen, Afam, this has been great. I was so excited that I got your name right. But if you go to LinkedIn to search for Afam, it's Afam Elue, Elue. Go to LinkedIn, find Afam, send him a connection request. Don't just do that. Follow him as well. Follow and send him that connection request. And look, the best time to sell your business. Is right now, or to start thinking about selling your business would be right now, right? And the second best time would be yesterday, I guess. So, but yeah, or maybe I said that backwards. Maybe it was yesterday, but the second best time is today. So, but man, thank you so much, Afam, for being a guest on here. I'm so glad we met, and looking forward to chatting with you more in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right,
Appreciate
awesome. I'll
you.
be right with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We've had a couple of people on the show that talk about, buying and selling of businesses, right? And mergers and acquisitions and that. But Afam just went into it kind of deep with that whole how do you prepare a business to make it get valued higher, right? How do you make it so that you can get the best return on your investment and know that your that succession to that next owner, or that sale to the next owner is going to put the right money in your pocket, and also it's going to set them up for success, which makes everybody happy and everybody wins. So I think that was really awesome. I did promise that if you stuck around to the end of the episode, I would tell you how you can be an upcoming a guest on an upcoming episode of Meet the Experts. So if you look down at the scrolling ticker down at the bottom of the screen, you will see visit www.meettheexpertspodcast.com. That's Meet the Experts with an S, podcast.com. Go to the webpage, read the webpage. It tells you everything that's included and even some stuff that's not included unless you did want to pay for it, which is fine. We do have some, we can do some video editing for you on the back end, some press release and promotion, upload it to the podcast platforms. It's all available for you. But look, if nothing else, go apply, be a guest, free, get the video, use it in your marketing. We'll help you, we'll show you, we'll work with you, and we'll have lots of great talks. And then who knows? For me, it's about building my network. Then maybe we'll become the best referral partners and good friends for the rest of our lives. And it's we can say it all started just with a free video interview that we did with you. So until our next episode, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Be good.